I basically learned the whole luxury retail industry from the bottom up. I started a digital magazine. I got invited to all these fashion shows in Paris and Milan. Tough. It really doesn't look as glamorous as you can see from the outside. The secret to that is you have to love what you do and really passionate about it. When I see this opportunity of building a wellness brand, basically I just jump on it.
My name is Nobin John, your host. I believe that we live among superheroes. Many a times we walk past them not knowing because of our busy schedules. This podcast is my journey to find such individuals, bring them on board, and have meaningful conversation to unravel the biohacks and lifestyle hacks that they have used to optimize well-being and realize their fullest potential. In many of these hacks will lie the solution for us to look better, perform better, and live longer. Welcome to the Zuperhuman Podcast.
Welcome to the Zuperhuman Podcast. My guest today is a young woman who has effortlessly pursued her passion for health and wellness while previously working for the fashion industry. She has worked with some of the world's renowned brands such as Prada, Gucci, Lane Crawford, and Tumi, just to name a few. She has now shifted her focus towards empowering people to live healthier lifestyles by introducing her game-changing brand SHROOMMATE along with her business partners, which we'll talk about in some time. For those who don't know, SHROOMMATE is a real food supplement brand that utilizes the true power of mushrooms to help you live an energized life and a supercharged lifestyle. Today's podcast, we'll discuss with Vivien the story behind her impressive shift of career. We'll talk about the power of functional mushrooms and also some of the hacks that she recommends so that you can go out there, chase your dreams, and do that in a healthy, fashionable way. Without any further ado, welcome to the Zuperhuman Podcast, Vivien Wong.
Thank you.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you for the nice introduction.
No, absolutely not a problem. It's every bit of it is well deserved.
Thank you.
So, let me start off with something that just boggles my mind. Paris Fashion Week.
Correct.
Girl, to somebody now who's out there and renowned to be a wellness advocate and founder to a game-changing wellness product.
Yep.
What's the inspiring Vivien story behind?
Well, a lot of people ask me these questions.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah, but the reason is because I will be the last person that you think of when it comes to wellness.
Well, maybe I would have known you in your fashion days. Yeah.
Yeah. And, the story begins when I was in Australia. Because I was born in Hong Kong, but I moved to Australia when I was very young. I used to work in the luxury retail industry, as you just mentioned.
Right.
Basically, I'm just a girl, going to this. I remember I went to this little cafe inside a bookstore. Every day after school, I would just sit there and flip through all the fashion magazine in other languages as well. I don't care. I just look at the picture. In Australia, they don't wrap their magazines in plastic. Okay. So you're welcome to read it as long as you get a few cups of coffee and a few pieces of cake and they're happy, right?
Right.
So from my memory, I've been always reading magazine and just, fascinating in this whole fashion world.
Okay.
But honestly, in Australia, I really don't have the intention to get into this crazy industry because of the weather difference. In Australia, you're always kind of one season behind.
All right.
Right?
Yeah.
Because, when you're in spring, summer, we're still in winter.
It's complete opposite to
it's
what
a complete opposite, yeah. And then after a while, I started to finish my university. I did my marketing, finished my bachelor, my master in international marketing. And I'm kind of looking for a job at that time.
Okay.
And at that time, I actually came across, I'm sure Tony Robbins.
Oh, yeah.
From
absolutely.
the States. Yeah. And I was crazy. I went to a few of his big lectures and, all those walking.
Did you go live?
Yeah.
To his live events?
Yeah.
Wow.
I went to a few.
Impressive.
Yeah. And I walk on burning coal and all that. I've done that in my university time. And I remember this one thing that he talked about is the most important skills in your life is learning how to sell. because everything you're trying to sell, whether it's a product or an idea, right? So I really anchored that in my mind. At that time, I was looking for a job. I know I want to get into the industry and try because I'm very passionate about it. And he was putting this idea of being a sales. And I was like, am I going to be a sales after I got my master's degree? You know,
Right.
in Chinese culture, this doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
And then I was thinking, okay, I need to try it because I need to start somewhere. So I might as well start at where the industry starts. You talk about luxury goods, shops and retails and all that. And then apparently I applied for a job in Prada.
Okay.
For like a sales associate job. And very luckily, I got in because usually when you apply for a luxury brand, you need to have some sort of experience.
Okay.
But I have none experience, no experience at all at the retail floor. But I was lucky enough that I got in. So I basically learned the whole luxury retail industry from the bottom up.
Right.
Yeah, like, you know, anything that happened in the store, like, you know, receiving stock and unpacking them, steaming them, put it on the shelf, talking to customer. I've done that. And that really gave me a very solid foundation
Right.
of what I'm going to do in the future.
Okay.
And then, like, you know, as I'm doing it a little bit and I get into marketing and get into events and, you know, naturally I just changing brands as well.
Right. Did you find yourself fitting in very easily into the roles?
Yes, luckily.
Okay.
I was.
I have no doubt right now. I mean, from
Yeah.
what I know of you, yes.
But I wasn't this talkative
Okay.
before when I was young because I think I was educated in Hong Kong for a little while in my primary school. And the education system here doesn't really encourage you to talk a lot
Okay.
in classes. And, you know, don't even ask me a question, right? Just stay silent. But when I moved to Australia, the whole culture shift. So I get to learn about like communicating with different people, and like I'm the one that always asks questions and always
Nice.
sit on the front row and just keep asking questions, that kind of girl.
We're totally marketing the Australian education system here.
Yes, for sure. And then when I get into the retail industry, that actually improved my communication skills as well.
Right.
So we always talk about how do you talk to a stranger, like how to break the ice, right? That's how you train yourself because you're basically talking to a stranger every day.
Right.
And then I moved to Hong Kong like maybe 12, 13 years ago.
Okay.
That wasn't an intention. I was just coming here for a holiday.
Right.
And then for some reason, I get into Lane Crawford and I stayed there for 8 years.
Wow.
Yeah. But it was a good time. That was a good time because you can learn a lot from, you know, like a giant retail corporation.
Right.
And then after that, I get into publication.
Wow.
I kind of fall into it because during my time at Lane Crawford, I started a digital magazine. That was the time when everybody called themselves a blogger
Okay.
and everybody have a blog,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I'm sure you went through that time too.
I didn't go through that phase,
Oh,
but
okay.
I've seen enough blogs.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And at that time, I was talking to myself, if I'm going to create a blog, why don't I just create a magazine?
Nice. I like the way you're thinking.
Yeah, and it's digital. It doesn't cost you a lot of money. It just costs you a lot of time, for sure. So that's when I started my digital magazine. I'm just doing it out of my passion.
Right.
I didn't think that that will become a business or like something that I can earn money because I'm still working full time. After that, I also worked with another magazine company as a publisher. That
Right.
was a print and digital. And that kind of like fulfilled my dream, which was having a magazine of my own.
Wow.
Yeah, I even think of the name, like, you know, the magazine Jessica, right? So it's founded by a girl named Jessica.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, what if I have a magazine and call it Vivien, right?
Never too late.
So I had that magazine, but the name wasn't Vivien. It was
Okay.
another name, okay? And then fast forward, I got invited to all these fashion shows in Paris and Milan. It was great experience, but it was tough.
Define tough.
Really tough. It really doesn't look as glamorous as you can see from the outside.
Okay.
So yeah, if you want more story about this, we can talk about that later.
Okay.
But yeah, so imagine you're working with 20, 30 brands. Every brand has different schedule, different show time, you know, and then you get to go to 6, 7 shows a day. Between shows, you have to get changed in a car because you cannot wear one brand to another brand show, right? So
Wow.
you have to organize your outfit, you change your makeup, change your hair, you have to eat in the car. There's no time for you to go toilet, you know,
Right.
and you like wearing your 6 inches high heel walking on Pebble Street in Milan. You basically twist your leg 10 times a day.
Yeah. The secrets behind the glamour.
Yeah, and then after the show, you get to the hotel. It's not relaxing time, no spa. That's when the time you get like all this editing done
Right.
and post it. Because it's a fashion show. If you post it the next day, it become old news.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's really tough. But I think the secret to that is you have to love what you do and like really passionate about it. Then you will still go through the tough time, but you won't complain as much.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you got a big smile on your face, but I'm sure so
Yeah.
you didn't complain at all and you were enjoying every bit of it.
Yeah, I'm actually quite enjoying it. And I didn't realize it's such a big deal at that time. I was
Right.
just doing what I'm doing, right? But when I came back from the shows and I start talking to people and friends and all that, everyone was like, wow, like their eyes like really open up. It's like, how can you get there? Like, how can you get to these fashion shows? Right? And I just realized at that time that that was actually a dream come true for like millions and millions of girls out there.
Right.
So that was amazing. Yeah.
I would not challenge this, but what really intrigues me is like, you know, you seem to be somebody who loved what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then you were in the state of flow, staying grounded, and, you know, people are really appreciating your work. Why did you pivot? Why did you... yeah, it's a brave question I think I should ask.
Yeah. Well, I think at that time, obviously COVID hit.
Okay.
All the fashion shows and events become virtual
Right.
and digital.
Okay.
You know, there's basically, you cannot travel, right, at that time. Also, I think the fashion industry has been changing a lot in
Okay.
recent years. So we all talk about sustainability. We all talk about like pre-love, upcycle, all these topics. I also love building businesses.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember my first business when I was in university. I actually had an online store selling perfume.
Wow.
So that was fun.
Okay.
And that's something that I love as well.
Right.
And then since then, I also built a few other businesses out of it. So when at the time during COVID, all you want to know is like how to get yourself healthy and into all this wellness. A lot of wellness information comes into you as well. And when I see this opportunity of building a wellness brand, basically I just jump on it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is impressive. And I mean, functional mushrooms, out of all the things in the world, was there a reason why you decided to pick functional mushrooms?
First of all, I'm a big lover of mushrooms.
Okay.
It's my favorite cuisines, Japanese and Italian, and they use a lot of mushroom as ingredients.
Nice.
But SHROOMMATE, that's another story. I basically fall into a trap set by Simon,
Okay. Simon's your business partner,
my
right?
business partner. So what happened was during COVID time back in 2020,
Okay.
I was stuck in Melbourne for 9 months because my family still lived there.
Right.
It's supposed to be a trip to visit them for Christmas and New Year, and then I was just stuck there. There's no
Right.
playing, nothing. You cannot come into the country. You cannot go out of the country. At that time, Simon was in Sydney, my business partner, and he's starting to send me all this mushroom powder. And he was like, "Oh, you look like somebody who gets sick very easily." I was like, "Oh, well, thank you."
Oh, how considerate. Yeah.
But at that time, nobody know what COVID is. So basically, it's the best thing you can do is to build up your immunity, right? So at that time, I was really taking the powder day and night, every day.
Right.
But at that time, for me, I don't really have a very significant result because during COVID, all you do is sleep and watch Netflix, right?
Gotcha.
You don't do exercise or anything. But after that, when I came back to Hong Kong, I started to share this with some of my friends who they do a lot of sports or go to gyms and all that. And seriously, every single one of them come back to me and ask me what it is.
Wow.
Because it really helped them in terms of their performance and all that. And if you're an athlete or if you go to gym regularly, let's say you're a weightlifter, right? Usually you can do 5 kg. And after taking supplement for a week, you can do 7 kg.
Right.
That's a big improvement for them.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, let me talk to my friend Simon about it.
Wow.
And then that's when I started to study what mushroom supplements are.
Okay.
and also doing a bit of marketing in the retail environment in Hong Kong, and see if this can be a business opportunity, because if I know that this product can help people, that's what I want to do in my businesses.
It's amazing because from a medical standpoint of view, or from a modern medicine, which is also referred to as functional medicine today, mushrooms are very high when it comes to performance enhancers.
Yeah.
Now, for the viewers, I must clarify this. This is not the psychedelic mushrooms that we're talking about.
Nope.
These are the functional mushrooms that we're talking about, which is nothing but real food ingredients, which you can incorporate as a part of your diet, but in much higher concentrations to optimize performance.
Correct.
And mushrooms have been with us historically for ages. And just a little bit of fact on...
Before human race exists.
Exactly. And so from a functional medicine standpoint, mushrooms have been with us for ages, for decades.
Time,
and there is so many conversations and talks about how mushrooms were used to enhance longevity from over thousands of years, and that is documented.
Yeah.
It's amazing how today we see people using and introducing products such as SHROOMMATE, which makes it more functional.
Yeah.
As in, like, you can make it as a part of your breakfast cereal, you can make it as a part of your tea, coffee, mix it into your baking, and bring them into your diet in a very stylish format. And I think that is amazing. And a little bit of mushrooms too, because when I was preparing for this podcast, I was amazed to even learn. And I thought I knew things about mushrooms, but it was amazing to just learn about the whole physiology behind mushrooms, because they're very similar to humans, as in they actually breathe, or they actually take in oxygen.
Yes.
Unlike plants, which actually take in sunlight and carbon dioxide, photosynthesize, get the energy and release oxygen. So mushrooms actually take in oxygen. And they derive food from the environment around, just like humans. And as a result of which, the genetic buildup of mushrooms are so similar, or 50% of the genetic buildup in mushrooms are so similar to the human race.
Correct.
Hence, the chemicals that is produced as a result, and so concentrated in these mushrooms because of the stressed environment that they live in, are so much more bioavailable, as in they can be absorbed so much more easily into our human bodies and reach our cellular levels and create impact. And that just amazed me. I was like, wow, I am just starting to scratch the surface on the science behind mushrooms here. And it all made sense. And normally on this podcast, we really don't talk about products. Or unless the products have been actually tried. Now, funny and very interesting that, and this goes back to, when I had Simon on the podcast and we talked about breath work, we talked about cold exposures, but we didn't talk about SHROOMMATE because I didn't know about it. And I wouldn't talk about it too unless I'm very sure about it, because that's an ethos and also something that I stand by.
Experience
absolutely. And very casually, you just dropped me a few samples and said, hey, just give it a try. And I kid you not, I completely, and I can be another testimonial to some of the changes that I've seen. I'm just going to talk about one, which is basically the ones that I use in the morning. So I believe that I don't need coffee in the morning, and I'm always looking for hacks that I can create dopamine or a drive mindset to go out there and take on the world, which caffeine can do. But in order to ensure that I sleep well at night, or to reset my circadian rhythm, there is compelling science to this too, that says maybe avoid coffee for the first 2 to 3 hours of the day. But for me, those first 2-3 hours are the most productive, because I can get a lot done. I might work out in the morning, or I might really look at doing one round of focus bout, 1.5 hour to 2 hour, and really get the most, or let's put it this way, the most challenging task of the day out of my way. And I use maca, which is a great adaptogen, but I used your lion's mane, and I kid you not, it was a game changer.
That's nice.
And one of the reasons why I wanted to find a replacement for maca is because our body gets so used and adapts to food, and kind of it gets used to it. So it kind of relaxes on the spikes or the impacts that you can actually receive. So when I was able to shuffle it around with one day maca and one day mushrooms, I was like, wow, I'm starting to feel that zen or that flow state, which I kind of missed when I actually brought in maca for the first time into my life. And hence, I gave you a ring and I said, hey, Vivien, let's talk about this. I think you're onto something, and I think the world, or the Asian, the crazy busy Asians out there should look at and know about functional mushrooms. And hence, thank you so much for being a part of this podcast to start.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Now, SHROOMMATE.
Yeah.
I know you're a branding expert. Are you behind the naming? I wouldn't tell your business partners. You can be honest about it unless you choose to watch the podcast. That's different.
Okay, my official answer is yes, we come up with the name together.
Did you come up with the name? Oh, okay, the official answer. Okay, we'll talk about it later. But wow. Is there a story behind this name?
Definitely. Because out of the 3 founders, so that's me, Simon, and we have another co-founder called Alex.
Right.
Alex has been like practicing yoga for like 15, 17 years and has been teaching yoga as well in Hong Kong. And Simon, Simon, he's like a master of breath work, he's anything biohacking and all that.
Yeah,
right?
We had an amazing session,
Yeah.
and I kid you not. Yeah, we'll talk about that later. And if you guys haven't listened to it, stay tuned or
Yeah.
just go into YouTube, Spotify. We're there and a must-watch episode, just like this one here.
Yeah. So out of the 3, I'm basically the one who seems to lack a bit of, background in the wellness and fitness industry, right?
Right.
But that actually gives me an advantage as well because I can look at the branding and the positioning in a different perspective. Majority of our customer or target customer out there, they won't be some sort of a master or guru and all that, right? So I can actually build a brand. I want to build a brand that people can resonate with and they can be part of it as well.
Right.
And the main philosophy of this business, of this brand, is to be part of your wellness journey.
Right.
Because I believe that everybody's wellness journey is different. And when people think of wellness, they probably think of people who go to gym, they do exercise, or they do a lot of outdoor activities and all that. I'm not a person I really rarely go to gym, and I don't engage in a lot of outdoor activities, as you can tell. But I look after my skin. I look after the food that I eat. And I looked after information that I put in my body and my mind. Like, for example, the music you listen to,
Right.
the TV show that you watch, that all becomes, who you are, right?
Absolutely.
So I'm really conscious on my, mental health as well. So that's my wellness journey.
Right.
And that's why I want to create a product that can fit into your wellness journey, whatever, you're doing. So it becomes the word I have this word like roommate.
Wow.
In mind, because roommate is kind of like your companions.
Yeah, somebody you can share with.
Somebody you can share, somebody you can trust, right?
Yeah.
And then mushroom comes in because obviously it's mushrooms, fungi. And for me and Simon being Australian, I'm from Melbourne, he's from Sydney, so we need to have a little bit of Aussie elements in it. So it's SHROOMMATE.
Amazing. That just explains the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's not all of it. If I show you, if I'm going to grab one.
Sure.
So if I show you the branding and the logo that we have, you can see the fonts that we have. You can see little elements in the corner there that
Right.
actually represent mushrooms and fungi, because fungi, it's pretty much the circle of life. So they
Wow.
grew out of something already dead and they give it a new life, right? So that's little sprouts coming out.
Yep.
And then you can also see the they're connected. So that's your life's ups and downs.
Wow.
So basically, our brand is here to support you throughout your life's ups and downs. So that's the whole concept.
And I must say, I'm big on branding too, but I don't have the expertise and I haven't gone to the finest schools when it comes to branding. But from an entrepreneur standpoint, when I looked at your brand and the way you positioned your 3 product line under the SHROOMMATE umbrella,
Yeah.
this is the closest what I could relate out there to precision medicine or to specific targeted individual wellness journeys, you can say. Because, for example, it's not that I've not tried mushrooms before as a part of my diet style. I've had mushroom as a real functional mushroom as a part of my supplementation protocol. And of course, it was a mix and match of different mushrooms. And I was like, what is it doing for me? And
Yeah.
for me, in my life or in my lifestyle, these days, if I ask this question, very simple, what is it doing for me? What is this targeted towards? If it's just random and it's just based on a placebo effect, I can sense it very easily.
Yeah.
So especially with the SHROOMMATE umbrella, what I loved was hey, there are days when I get up and I don't feel I feel a little sluggish.
Yeah.
In the mornings.
Yeah.
So you have a product line that is beautifully targeted just for the morning time. If you're not a morning person, this is something for you. That's kind of precision medicine. That's like targeting, okay, I'm not having a finest of mornings. I need to pick me up. I need some energy. I'll bring my cortisol level down. There is something for it.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes, people are born to wake up in the morning and go out there, chase their dream.
Yeah.
For them, you got something that, needs to pick them up in the afternoon, which I thought was beautiful. I mean, amazing. I mean, how could you... And that whole word of using it as a journey just justifies. And then there might be people who are born to like get up in the morning, win the afternoon with them, coffee.
Yeah.
But in the evenings, they just want to come back, unwind, have some family time or some my time or time with yourself. And you got something dialed in for it. Wow. I think that is just way beyond branding and also something that, and it also shows the kind of depth of knowledge that your founders carry. So it's some mindfully created products by some amazing people that do have skills in branding, but also kind of an expertise in the field to cater to a product line that nearly closely matches people's need.
Yeah.
And you're not pushing something onto something saying, hey, this does magic in your life.
Yeah.
Whereas it's not. Use it as a part of your journey when you think you most need it.
Yeah.
I mean, wow. That is amazing, Vivien.
I think you got the key point there, because I think it's a very interesting combination of the three of us, because like Simon obviously know everything, like from the mushrooms, how they grow it, like what's the function, and, all that. Alex is more like a lifestyle, like he's a singer-songwriter as well, so he really know how to enjoy life and, doing yoga as part of it as well. So my background, as you just mentioned before, I come from a very solid background in retail industry.
Right.
So...
Very evident.
Yeah. So I really care about what my customer is receiving from me, from my brand and my product. And I think that really helps me to, brand this product and position this product as well. And the keyword you just mentioned a few times just there is the journey.
Yeah.
Right? This word is basically how I started this whole brand. Because I really want, like, from the retail background, like, you don't want how do we value a customer, right? It doesn't matter, like, how much they spend at one time. But for us to see the value of a customer, it's a period of time.
Right.
So how many people, like how many times this person come back to our store, doesn't matter if they spend a little bit each time, but the value, it's much larger than, somebody just come in and buy a one-off, like high price product, right? So in my mind, I always have this thinking. So how to create a community of people that we also have the same philosophy and we can here to help each other.
Wow.
So for doing that, it has to be a journey.
Yeah. So now, Vivien, let's talk about this exciting product line that you have created with so much passion and so much depth.
Sure.
Let's start with the cordyceps.
Cordyceps, yeah.
That's one of the products that you have positioned very thoughtfully to be had during daytime or when somebody wakes up.
Morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First, you give me your take, and then I'll give you mine, and we'll see how science fits in and, makes magic happen.
Sure. As I just mentioned, I just want to create a product that will fit in your daily life. It's like a journey, right? So we want to pick 3 items, like one in the morning, one in the afternoon, and one for the evening.
Right.
So for cordyceps, in the morning, because cordyceps, it's an energy booster.
Right.
So basically, it'll dilate your blood vessel and you can have more oxygen into your blood. So it will give you like a natural energy rather than you spike and then you come down straight away. And also cordyceps is really good with allergy.
Nice.
So a lot of people, like especially in Asia, air pollution and all that, it's very common for people to have allergy. Mm-hmm. And I remember when I was young, when I used to live in Hong Kong, every morning I wake up, I just keep sneezing like 50, 100 times. No jokes.
Wow.
Like, so every time I wake up, my parents will know because I'll be like, the whole morning, right?
Right.
And it got improved when I moved to Australia. So it's definitely the quality of air.
Right.
So in Hong Kong, a lot of it's very common, symptoms for people to have allergy, and cordyceps is actually really good to suppress the symptom of it.
Right.
So we actually put that in a morning.
Nice.
So obviously, you can take it any time of the day.
Right.
Right. But we just recommend it that you can take it in the morning, so you can have energy to conquer your day.
Yeah, I mean, I love it because as a part of the preparation, and also, I had to go back in my book of science and functional medicine.
Yeah.
And then it beautifully states out that cordyceps is one of those beautiful fungi or the mushrooms that actually is an adaptogen.
Yes.
So
correct.
as you beautifully said, and it kind of makes sense now because it helps you to just bring in more oxygen.
Yeah.
So we get up in the morning with so much of cortisol. Now, that's our norm. That's when you wake up, when your cortisol levels are so high. So in a way, when cortisol levels are high, our immune system's general tendencies are fight or flight, which is like this, which is blood flow restricting.
Yeah.
Sometimes people ask me, what is anxiety? And I just show the fist and I said, this is anxiety.
Yeah.
All you got to do is let
Release
go,
it. Yeah.
relax. This is relax for me, and bring in more oxygen. So here you have a mushroom that helps you to bring in more oxygen, as a result of which, and something that everybody must do at the beginning of the day is to reduce that cortisol level, which is the highest in the mornings, to your baseline, so that you have a perfect day, reset your circadian rhythm, go out without any sluggishness and conquer the world.
Yeah.
And for me, that mantra ensures that I sleep well at night.
Yeah.
Which ensures the following day is another beautiful day.
Yeah.
And there is no better success formula than winning the morning. And I think cordyceps, being that powerful adaptogen, just proves to be one of those things that, you know, you can ideally use in the morning. And like I said, that was one of the ones that I used as a part of my morning rituals on some days. And I was like, I didn't need the coffee. I am a coffee person, I must say. But, you know, I was able to hold off maybe for an hour. Let me not lie about it, but I need my coffee. It is more a good coffee. I cannot do with a compromised coffee.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's for another day. But I was able to hold on for a coffee addict, this is myself. I was
That's
able to
good
hold
to
on for an
know.
hour.
That's good to
But
know.
hey, the benefits were endless with respect to, like, you know, I could feel the calming effect, and I could feel that I was able, I really have mastered the art slowly, and it's a journey of being able to listen to my body, and I know when my cortisol levels are there, and I'm more mindful. And again, it's something that I practice and exercise, as a result of which I grow in that area, are able to bring my cortisol levels down. And cordyceps, science proves it. And I used it, and it kind of had, like, you know, very similar mimicking effects, which also may talk about the quality of product that you're actually putting into it. And that's the beauty of it. Like, you know, you're keeping it clean, fashionable and trendy. But, you know, what's the most fashionable thing these days? Which is, like, you know, clean. Just one ingredient and one statement, rather than too many elements. Branding. I know you're an expert. You've done very well there.
Thank you.
Another thing that you talked about is environmental pollutants, as a result of which people have allergies in Hong Kong. I kid you not, as a kid, I grew up with breathing related issues such as asthma, which is a result of higher inflammatory loads. There are triggers such as ingredients in your environment. But I was not brought up in Hong Kong. But I've been able to manage it much better. But going back into the book of science, mushrooms have a great detoxification characteristics. So we live in Hong Kong or in Asia, especially in China and regions around. There is so much of pollutants, especially toxic material in the environment. We ingest this as a part of breathing, as a part of even eating, because they become a part of our food that we eat, and it's inevitable. But mushrooms have such a potent detoxification capability. They're able to, like, you know, suck out these heavy metals, toxins from our system, and reduce the load on our kidneys and livers, and being able to help us detoxify better. And I think that kind of makes sense when you said it helped to lower your levels of inflammation, aka allergies. And there we are. So I think it's a great product for morning, which, like, kind of, like, in simple terms, regulates your immune systems from a fight or flight, high cortisol level, to a rest and relax mode of operation, from which you're able to think better, your cells are able to defend you better, and also you're able to go and create a mindset as a result of, like, you know, the whole physiology that comes along with it, to go and take on the world.
Well, now that you mentioned the detox, you know, effect of it, we actually got a lot of compliment, like, from friends who love drinking.
Wow.
So what they do, they, like, seriously, these are testimonial, right?
Tell me about this. And I think the audience would love to know.
And, like, after the next day, you usually get a very bad hangover and, you know, and all that. And all they do is take, like, a sachet of cordyceps, mix it with water, and just drink it as a soup of some kind, like you want to do that. And it really helped them with the hangover.
Wow.
So I think that's part of the detoxification. It's a good kidney tonic as well.
Yeah, and it completely makes sense because even in nature, they have this property to be able to decompose and pull out the toxins and provide nutrition for plants, as a result of which they thrive. So having this in our systems and being able to pull out the harmful toxins and heavy metals, and also the toxins that comes in as a part of having a big night or a good night, however you want to define it in Hong Kong or in Asia. That would just justify.
Yeah, so that's amazing. Like, I wouldn't know about this because, I don't drink, but a lot of friends drinks, obviously.
Okay, and they're happy to share.
They're happy to share.
And audience, if you are looking out for a hangover cure, it's not the hangover shot that you get in 7-Eleven or anti-hangover shot that you get in 7-Eleven. Do something that's good for you. Go for the SHROOMMATE cordyceps. Okay, so now shifting focus. Let's go a little further in the day.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get over the hangover.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about on a productive day, afternoon times.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you have positioned Rice.
Rice, which is the lion's mane.
Which is the lion's mane.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Well, lion's mane is my favorite.
Okay. Founder's perspective here.
Yes. Okay. And coming from Melbourne, I'm a big coffee drinker, and I really cannot live without my good coffee.
I know, right? I was in Melbourne, wow, what an impressive place.
I know, it's like every corner, it's like they have a coffee shop, and you just don't need to question the quality of it, right? Apparently in US, it's very popular right now. Everyone's talking about mushroom coffee.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think especially after COVID.
Yes, correct.
With words, such
brain
as mental health, brain fog, being the highlights of topics in discussion and also podcasts.
Yeah.
There has been a lot of literature also now that kind of supports that lion's mane, again, a form of mushroom that can actually benefit to better situations of anxiety and also depression. And let me tell you this, these are not situations that you disregard because these are precursors or symptoms to chronic diseases such as dementia and Alzheimer's.
Definitely.
And sometimes we just look at it as very small things and disregard it. But at the same time, the beauty about this is it can be managed. If somebody is going through anxiety, which is nothing but a restrictive blood flow, right?
Yeah.
Or if it's restricted for too long, goes into states of depression. Also to do with some brain chemicals. Bringing in lion's mane, and there is proven literature now on this, kind of helps or modulates your neurons to be able to fire much better, to give you more focus, attention, bring about clarity.
Yeah.
Which is basically just brain energy, if I can say.
Yeah.
And also the beautiful thing about lion's mane is I always believe that when we talk about brain health, don't even talk about it unless you talk about gut health. Because 80% of your neurotransmitters and also neuromodulators are created in your gut.
Yeah.
So if your gut's not in the right place, the chances are whatever you're putting in order to optimize brain health is a hit and miss. So lion's mane is one of those ingredients which is one of those most talked about and also being researched recently to do with optimizing and bettering gut health. Some of the results and some of this researches that's out there slowly starting to surface out is really promising.
Yeah.
And hence it kind of really makes sense where people associate the lion's mane to do with mental well-being because it targets your gut. It releases those brain-derived neurotropic factors which brings about better energy states to your brains.
Correct.
Because again, with brain energy, what are you able to do? You're able to create resilience, I believe, which you're able to channel to think better. Maybe challenge those negative thoughts that you're having. Ask yourself, once you have resilience, when you're in a state of fear, you can ask yourself, is this really true?
Yeah.
Or can I actually change the outcome of this?
Yeah.
But all that needs energy. Yeah. And I think a beautiful mushroom such as lion's mane is a game changer to bring about that cognitive energy and also bettering gut health to provide more fuel to the brains and also be able to target brains to create that clarity and also bring about energy.
That's why people always say that your gut is your second brain, right?
Yeah, and I would challenge that and I would say your gut is your first brain because there are more connections or communications from your gut to your brain than the other way around.
Yeah.
And I don't know. That's for a reason.
Yeah.
And gut health today, it is the second most researched topic in the world after cancer.
Right.
And I'm just going to leave the conversation there because I think it's for everybody to kind of know as to why is it so.
Yeah.
Because there is so much uncharted potential in that space.
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer of this, that half the world's problems when it comes to cognitive health when it comes to digestive health, when it comes to sexual health, when it comes to spiritual well-being and relationship with yourself and with others kind of gets solved when your gut health is in the right place. But
Amazing.
That for another podcast.
Yeah.
Now we go back to mushrooms,
Yes.
which I think are the functional mushrooms, which I think are game changers.
Yeah.
So now, Vivien, back to you. Enough of me. Let's talk about dusk.
Okay, that's a reishi.
Okay?
Yeah.
Tell me about it from a founder's perspective. Why reishi?
Okay, honestly, reishi has a little bit bitterness to its taste.
Right?
But being a Chinese, I think that's very interesting because these mushrooms exist in Chinese culture, Chinese
Absolutely.
medicine for thousands of years. Back then, only the kings and the queens and the nobles can have access to reishi because they're very expensive, they're very rare.
Interestingly enough, when I was reading about it, it
Yeah.
was actually termed by the richest in the olden era to be, and one of the reasons why they consumed it is because it was known as the mushroom of immortality.
Yeah, longevity.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And actually, reishi has been called the queen of mushroom as well.
Okay.
So that's how it comes from, I guess.
Yeah. So beauty, brains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It all stems from something of this type.
Antioxidants.
Yeah.
So when we're thinking of this, we try to incorporate a very potent mushroom in it.
Right.
And also help you to de-stress because we understand the lifestyle. You know, people in Hong Kong, especially in Asia, we're very stressful during the day. At nighttime, we just want to find something that can help you to de-stress.
Right.
And can sleep better. Because I found that a lot of people in Hong Kong, especially, they have sleeping problem.
Right.
And they just don't know how to improve it. A lot of people that are taking drugs and all that, but they know that's not good for their body.
Right.
But they just need that sleep, right?
Right.
So reishi is really good to help you to de-stress, so you can get a better time of deep sleep,
Right.
your REM sleep.
Right.
Sometimes, like people who know that it's not how long you sleep, it's the quality of your sleep,
Amazing.
right?
Golden.
Yeah.
Can you say that again?
It's not how long you sleep,
Yeah.
but it's the quality of your sleep.
Right.
So reishi is really good on doing that.
Right.
So usually I take it before I go to bed, maybe an hour or half an hour when I started to calm myself down. And a lot of people, they mix it with honey as well. So it's easier to consume because it does have that bitterness in there.
Yeah.
But for us, we're fine. Like we're used to Chinese medicine and herbs and all that. So that's a really important part of our journey.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think in the book of science, what is talked about as reishi is like, like I mentioned from history, it's been referred to as the mushroom of immortality. And the beauty about when I put things together, it regulates your immune system
Yeah.
in a way that it kind of like, lowers the cortisol levels, which is what you want towards the night.
Yeah.
So that you can you're gearing up to have that quality sleep.
Yeah.
Again, I love what you said. Quality sleep versus quantity sleep. Everybody asked me how long should I be sleeping, and I said wrong question. Go to the next one. Because I just want them to start focusing on. Let's be honest about it. We're all dream chasers, and we want to catch dreams and we want to realize dreams, and life is not easy. Sometimes getting in that 8-9 hours of sleep for many of us
It's impossible,
is impossible.
right? Yeah.
And the faster we realize it, the better you will be in peace. Instead, if you were to use real foods rather than drugs or over-the-counter remedies, before, you would need to even use that or be even prescribed to that.
Yeah.
I think there is a lot to be harnessed out of there. And the beauty about reishi mushrooms is that it kind of like, brings down the cortisol level, which is like the prime ingredient, and then complemented with the light, with the temperature for
sure.
the body to start normally producing melatonin,
Yeah.
which is another key ingredient to
Better sleep. Yeah.
And needless to say, when that cortisol level goes down, inflammation lowers. One of the ways, I see these people out there, investing so much into anti-aging.
Yeah.
Whereas anti-aging for me is just managing your cells. As you age, your cells will die.
Yeah.
Let's be honest about
Yeah.
it. You can't slow it down. Because we live in a world today where our cellular demise is at a much higher rate. I'm trying to keep it very simple than what it used to be. As a result of which we're aging much faster than we're supposed to age. Hence, we find ourselves in some corners and some tight corners where we don't want to be. Symptoms, disregarded, or because of our busy lifestyle, becomes into disease. That disregarded, not managing it correctly leads into chronic disease states, which is a lot of energy to manage.
Yeah.
So coming back, if we were to live lifestyle by using real food ingredients to ensure that, you get that quality sleep, restorative sleep, regenerative sleep, so that your cells can actually hang in there for longer.
Yeah.
Help you to
definitely.
defend better.
Yeah.
And also provide for energy better. You are anti-aging naturally.
Yeah.
Now, on top of that, you apply an anti-aging cream, better. That's tenfold.
Well, that's
better.
what I always tell people, especially ladies, right? Your beauty routine actually starts when you sleep. When you wake up in the morning and put in all this stuff on your face,
If
right?
there's any investment that you do, is just try to enhance that quality of sleep.
Yeah.
And I think reishi is a great ingredient, and it completely makes sense when we talked about restorative sleep.
Yeah.
And also now it completely makes sense to me too in this whole conversation as to why it's called the Queen of Mushrooms.
Yeah.
Right? Because it just...
It's a beauty sleep product, basically.
Now it even makes sense why they call it the beauty sleep, right?
Exactly.
Wow. We're having eureka moments on this podcast. We love this. Okay. Now, Vivien, we live in Hong Kong. Like any other part of the world, there's thousands of products that actually come into the market here.
Yeah.
With different labels, with different advertisements, and kind of an unregulated market.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of a free port. And there's a long way to go before we make an impact towards helping people narrow down the options that they have, which kind of confuses consumers
It's
also.
very confusing. Yeah.
So moving a bit away from SHROOMMATE.
Yeah.
Looking at it from a brand founder, a brand expert, a retail expert, what do you think are some of the tips that you would want to give today's people who want to optimize their life and want to go out there and shop for quality supplements to make the right choices? Because there are so many pitfalls, as we know, because we create, and creating kind of gets you into those roads where you're like, oh, wow, no one's even checking this.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So what are your tips that you actually use yourself before you make a choice of buy or next?
I have one word that can sum up what you asked, but I will elaborate, of course. I think the word trust is very important because nowadays people shop not because of how good your product is. I mean, that's a basic, right? But because of the trust issue as well. If they trust your brand, then it will solve already like 80% of the decision that they're going to buy this product. So from a branding perspective, it's very important that we build up this trust to our customers. Some of the things that you can do, a lot of companies, they will spend a lot of money and time to get a third-party certification, which we also do in our product, which is a USDA organic certification. That's one of the hardest certification you can get out there. So when people see this logo on your product, that already gives them trust. Right? And obviously, you have to do your own research. You have to do your own homework. You need to know what are the meanings of all these words and labels in your product. For example, our product, we use 100% fruit body. So what does that mean, right? So if you look at the mushroom, like, the part that you can see, that's a fruit body. The part that you cannot see, that's the mycelium, right?
Yeah, the mycelium, the roots,
Yeah, the roots. When I did my research on this supplement in Hong Kong, I find that a lot of product out there is a mixture of fruit body and mycelium. And some of them, they just use the mycelium. And I find out the reason why, because of the cost issue. Obviously, it costs less to do the less potent part. But when we decide our product, especially for Simon, coming from athletic backgrounds and, all this, he wants the best quality product. He wants to give people the best. So we use 100% of the fruit body, which I think only 2 or 3 brands out there that use this formula. So if you do your study, you do your homework, you know that this is a quality product. So it's basically really about research and understanding that supplement is an investment. It won't give you a result. It's not a magic pills, right? It won't give you a result straight away, but it's a long-term investment. And also knowing how to, as you say, it's not just supplement, it's food, it's cosmetics, skincare as well. You need to learn how to read the labels. For example, I can give you an example. So if you could take a big glass of water and you put like 1 drop of lemon juice in it, what does it become? A big glass of lemon juice. And how marketer going to market this product, they're going to pick like a big picture of lemon in front, telling you all the benefit of, taking this lemon.
Make it keto-free, keto-friendly.
Like vitamin C,
paleo diet friendly.
Exactly. But what you get is actually 1% of lemon.
Right.
Like, the rest is water, right? This is how marketing works.
Yeah.
Same as skincare. Let's say a lavender hand cream. If you look at the ingredients, most of them, the first ingredient is aqua, which is water. And the way the sequence of the listing of the ingredients actually can give you some hints.
Right.
Because they're listing it according to the percentage. And this is a very good tips. Like the first 3 ingredients usually make up 80% of that product.
Wow.
So let's say for lavender hand cream, it's probably aqua, something else. And then at the end, it's lavender oil.
Wow. So it's that less of
Yes.
percentage.
Yes. But they can still market it as a lavender hand cream.
Right. This is solid information. So what you kind of lead customers is like, to maybe read the labels well.
Yep.
Understand the art of reading labels. And actually, there's so many
It's a
YouTube
lot of
videos
study,
on somebody should make it very simple.
Yeah.
And then look at it as an investment. You got to tell yourself, if something as this potent, which is like, going to supercharge my engines to go and live a better life and do 200% more than what I could normally do.
Yeah.
How can this be cheap?
Yeah.
Let's be honest about it, right?
Exactly.
You rather put an extra buck into getting something that is actually going to run those engines better rather than drive off a placebo effect, which is going to die out very soon.
Yeah.
And also, I love the way you talked about trust. For me personally, when I choose, that is a big element. And hence, I look at supplements and I kind of like, and it's one of the reasons why I ask people on this podcast to, mate, tell me a story. Because if the brand has to have a story, and I always believe a good brand have great individuals behind there who have stories, and that passion flows.
Yeah.
And then that is validated, of course, by third-party verifications like you said the USDA organic is a great one.
Yeah.
In the UK, it's bio-organic.
Yeah.
And different regions have
different country has different
regulations.
Yeah, definitely.
So all this kind of like, helps you make better choices. But you just have to spend time rather than maybe just listen to somebody talk to you or as a part of your flick as on your Instagram.
Yeah.
And say, hey, this is good. Now, get your research done because this is an investment towards your lives.
Yeah.
Good.
I think it's a basic rule of thumb. Just don't follow what your best friend is taking. Because everybody's body is different.
Yeah.
Like she or he might need something that you don't need. But a lot of time, I think when we comes to choose our supplement, we always ask our friend, like, oh, what are you taking? Oh, this is good. You should take it. But that's good for her. Doesn't mean that it's good for you, right? So I think the main point is to listen to your body as well. Because your body will tell you what's good and bad for you.
And this is some checkpoints that I love using these days is like, why do I need this?
Yeah.
Because it's good for them. Do I need it?
Yeah.
Maybe not. I mean, you got to question yourself.
Yeah.
Do I feel like this is the right investment? So asking yourself actually just buys you time rather than making an impulsive buy.
Yeah.
Which is another great thing that you mentioned. And also, I think the same applies for the only magic pill in the world, which I believe is food. Isn't it? I mean, there's so much of crap out there.
Yeah.
What is your advice to people when they shop?
I think it's the same thing. You need to understand your body. Because, like, we're all different, right? Like, for example, myself, I always have iron deficiency. Mm-hmm. So I will be very conscious when I shop for my food. I just make sure I get the right nutrition amount of iron into my body. And that's something that the doctor will not tell you about this information. It's basically you going out there and study your body, do some research, and then also choosing the right food, the right combination of food.
Maybe, and keeping it simple.
Keeping it simple.
Keeping it real.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
like the mushrooms are. I mean, you've just not incorporated any filler, any binder there. You just basically concentrated forms of the
natural
fruit
thing,
body,
right? Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Keeping it simple.
Yeah.
I love to tag a line calling it real food supplements because it is actually food that you've just made in more concentrated forms. And naturally, it is bioavailable, but made it to this concentration that can create immediate impact.
Yeah.
And could last you for a long time.
Yeah. That's why a lot of people, when they see our product, they always ask, oh, how do I take them? Like, how do I need to take this in certain time in the morning? Or what is the amount of taking it? And I say, it's really up to your body because everybody is different.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of our product because it's not a drug. It's not a pill. Like, it's not like subscribed, there's not a subscription to it, right?
Love it.
So you just do it like if today I know that I'm going to have back-to-back meetings the whole day. I need energy. I just take my cordyceps.
Yeah. I love the way you put it. So for me, it's like from a chef's perspective or from like, if you cook at home,
Yeah.
it's just those spices that you must have in your
Exactly.
cabinet.
Yeah.
You don't need to use it every day,
Yeah.
although they're very good for you. But you just see, okay, what are my taste buds craving for? What is my body asking me for? You
Yeah.
know? Okay, let me use this one today.
Yeah.
And then just go with the flow.
Yeah.
Because this is food. Incorporating this in smaller amounts throughout your life is going to create massive impact towards anti-aging,
Yeah.
cognitive abilities, detoxification, as we talked about.
Yeah.
In all, you can say, just like as a theme of this podcast, is we help people look younger, be stronger, and live longer.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I think this simplicity is the best. And that same thing applies to food, I think, right? Is that what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Okay, when we talked about SHROOMMATE, we just talked about this product line. But when I hear about SHROOMMATE, it's always about partnerships. It's always about very energetic environment or a lifestyle that you bring. And I think that stems from what you mentioned earlier in the podcast about how you try to help someone or how you're trying to be a part of someone's wellness journey. You don't seem to be a brand that is shy to go out there and partner.
Yeah.
And I am amazed by that because I'm a person who believes that when you look at wellness, the word wellness itself, it begins with a W-E. And that is not an accident because to be well, it takes
Yeah.
community, our engagement with people around and engagement with the environment around, because it is an ecosystem that
Exactly.
makes you feel well
Yeah.
when they are in a coherent state. And as a brand, what you have really showcased in this space in a short span of time is about this collaborative approach. And many brands go out there and try to have this mindset of like, that's a competition, that's a competition,
Yeah.
that's a competition, that's a competition. In many ways, I feel like, hey, you just cared about your product line.
Yeah.
But that's my perspective on it. But they are scared about their product line. But you guys have been so bold to go out there and use partnerships. Tell me a bit about why do you believe in partnerships when it comes to wellness or this product line?
Well, I'm a big fan of partnerships because I believe no one product or one brand can compromise for everybody.
Yeah. Nothing completes one person, right?
Nothing. And also when I brand my brand SHROOMMATE, I didn't brand it as a product brand, but it's more like a lifestyle brand.
Right.
So we're here to create a lifestyle, a community, as you say.
Right.
For, people with like-minded, like they also into wellness, into community building and all that. So you can see like a very big part of our business, it's about workshops as well. So it's not
Right.
just about the product. We actually don't talk about our product in our workshop. We just put it there so people, when they want to try it, we can serve them, they can try. So we do a lot of, you can see like yoga, breathwork,
Yeah.
ice bath, there's some coming up as well.
Yeah, I'd love to be a part of that. Yeah.
So I think partnership is really, really important in nowadays. Actually, it comes from a bit of my fashion background as well.
Okay.
Because what amused me as the most successful partnership, it's if you remember back then, even if you're not a fashion person, right? You remember back then when H&M partnered with Karl Lagerfeld?
No, but okay, keep
Yeah.
going. I'm sure a lot of our audience will be like, wow. And then we're wondering, why the hell does this guy not know about it?
Yeah,
Okay,
so
keep going.
H&M is basically a fast fashion brand, right?
Yeah.
Karl Lagerfeld is the designer of Chanel.
Okay.
So that to us, it's out of the world partnership, right? Why do you partner up this and this? What we call a high-low partnership.
Right.
But it was so successful. The reason why they're successful because they can compromise each other.
Yeah.
So H&M, they might not have the craftsmanship,
Yeah.
but Karl Lagerfeld can provide that, right?
Right.
And he might not have the access to a mass market because, not a lot of people can afford a Chanel jacket, right?
Yeah.
But obviously you can afford a H&M jacket. So that's how they compromise each other.
Right.
And then that's really the start of the beginning of all these partnerships.
Wow.
Not in the fashion world, but, in wellness and all that as well.
This is coming from a retail and a branding expert. So if you're looking to zoop up your brand,
Find a
faster,
partner.
Find partnerships and maybe throw away that fear.
Yeah,
what is
definitely.
it going to be like? Are people going to think my product is second? Because it's not
Yep.
the case.
Yep.
I think partnerships are great for growth, personally,
Yeah.
myself.
I think growing up in Australia, that give me a different perspective. I always see other brand as my partner instead of competitors.
Right. I think it's a much better brain space to
Yeah.
operate from, right?
Definitely. And, for a partnership to be successful, I think it has to be a win-win situation.
Right.
So you have to get something out of your partner, but you need to provide something to them as well.
Okay.
So I think that's the theory of a good partnership.
Right.
So a lot of people, they don't get this, as you say. They, maybe they will know about my product secret. They will copy whatever we do. It's like, come on, we're in the world of social media.
Yeah.
Like everything is transparent now.
Absolutely. And the more transparent you keep it, and you build trust, and you get a wider audience.
Exactly. I have friends that have like different brands. They literally telling me that I'm copying what you do in your social media. I said, yeah, good, go copy.
Yeah, if it's a formula that works, why recreate it?
Yeah, and it also give me confidence as well, because that means I'm doing something that's good enough for people to copy, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's a great mindset.
Yeah.
And also I know you do some big stage talks at the Hong Kong University and the PolyU University regarding branding.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people out there, especially the new gen, who would love to create brands.
Yeah.
If we were to summarize all your experience that you have working with some big brands, creating your own brand, what are some of the must-dos when they create a brand? And also my next follow-up question to that would be, what are some of the pitfalls that they should avoid? And how can they fearlessly, without any fear, collaborate? That's the 3 questions that I'm going to ask.
Okay.
So take 1. Okay. What are some of the must-dos when they're out there, they have a dream, they have a desire, and they want to convert that desire into creating a product that would do well for the world?
Yeah. Well, I think to me, everybody is a brand nowadays.
Wow.
Right?
Absolutely.
And, everybody, it's a media as well, because you will have your Facebook, you will have your, like Instagram, you will have your, Weibo or whatever. So people actually look at you by looking at your social media. So, that's a brand right there.
That's the biggest brand, I think.
Yeah.
And again, comes back to what we talked about, like, the founders.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's one advice, or you can see it like my own theory, right? I always think that, fake it until you make it.
Okay.
Some people will take that in a negative energy or a negative sense, but it's really true, because your behavior will change when you have a different mindset thinking.
Yeah.
So, for example, like coming back to my experience to Fashion Week.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember my first ever fashion show, right, in Milan. It was a big brand, huge event. And when I got off the car, I literally have 100 camera in front of me, start taking photo. And I was like, oh, wow, what's going on? So at that moment, you just don't have time to think. You just have to fake it and make it. And I immediately tell myself, because like at that international stage, I would say even the top celebrity in Hong Kong, when you get to that stage, you are just nobody.
Right.
These are media coming from all around the world, right? So at that moment, I was talking to myself, okay, I need to tell myself that I'm someone's famous.
Yeah.
People want to take photos of me, right?
Yeah.
So by the time I have that thinking, my behavior changed.
Right.
Like the way you walk, the way you smile, the way you pose, it's all different.
Yeah.
It's all coming from that one thought.
Right.
So I think that's very important when you build your brand as well. I mean, you can be very nervous, but you're a brand. You are out there for people to see who you are.
Wow.
So I think that's very important.
So basically stand up and represent what you want to put out there.
Yeah.
And be the biggest voice that you can.
Yeah.
And people can be shy.
Yeah.
People can have fear.
Yeah.
But fake those things that don't benefit you to make it.
Yeah.
Lovely.
That's pretty much a fight or flight moment, right?
I agree. I think I mentioned this in this podcast before too, that I'm very inspired by Arnold and his documentary that recently came out, which even highlighted what he said. He said, wake up in the morning, bloody work hard, and make sure you advertise that. And that is the mantra, because you're the biggest brand.
Yes.
And whatever you have next to you might sell if you sell. Amazing. What are some of the traps they should avoid?
I think one of the traps that people should avoid is to going out there thinking that you are the expert.
Okay. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like, people always say, like, if you have a team and if you are the smartest person in your team, you're in trouble, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's to be humble and to always want to learn and know more. So my tips is to just get into the industry or whatever that you want to do. Just talk to the people there who are already successful in what they're doing.
Right.
You can always take something out of them.
Yeah, and a lot of times we fear to even go up to the persons who maybe even our biggest mentors.
Yeah.
Just because we're a little scared.
Yeah. And I found that whatever you do in the past, it actually helps at that right moment.
Yeah.
That helps you of what you're doing. Because when you're thinking that, oh, I'm just doing that, like for myself, I'm just a salesperson in the past, right? Like, what is it going to do with building a business right now? But little did you know that like all this experience will take you to the point when you need it most.
Yeah. And some great person told me once, like, always be a sponge out there. It doesn't matter how much you've done in your life.
Yeah.
And what great stories you got to say.
Yeah.
Always be a sponge and take in the good
Absorbed,
stuff.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go in and absorb even the bad stuff because you can squeeze it out.
Yeah.
And retain the good stuff. Make it a part of your character.
Yeah.
And that could be even from the youngest person in the room to the oldest person in the room or the most experienced person in the industry.
Yeah.
But always dare to ask, because unless you dare to ask, that's one advice that I would also say, fear exists.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And whoever has made it has experienced the maximum extent. If he's the biggest in your industry, and that's somebody you look up to, he's been through even more shit
of course
than what you have been through. And he's gone through every emotion, because nobody is born to lead or nobody is born to create.
Yeah.
These are muscles that get stressed. But when you get stressed, you just don't stop using it.
Yeah.
You stress it more.
Yeah.
And take a break.
Yeah.
More. Just like how muscles grow.
Yeah.
Right? So beauty is go out there, be bold, be yourself, use your past experiences.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to fake it, but dare to and be bold to ask.
Yeah. And also, like, one thing that I always talk about is to see and to be seen.
Okay. What is that all about?
So, like, for example, like, if you're getting into a new industry, right, you need to know what's going on in that industry.
Okay.
But equally important is that you need that industry to know about who you are as well.
Okay.
So you need to go out there to see what's going on and to be seen. So when you talk to people, people are always curious of the reason why you want to get in this industry. Or even when you talk to the most experienced people in that room, he will always find fascinating talking to the younger generation as well, because they can always learn something from the younger generation as well. So it's an exchange of energy.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think that's beautiful. And that kind of explains also why you guys are so collaborative, because you can learn so much from another brand by just being open for them to learn from you too.
Yeah.
Because growth, especially in the wellness industry, has to happen with WE.
Yes.
And that's the reason why it begins with a WE, right? The word wellness. Vivien, I am absolutely thankful for you making it here today. And thank you so much for sharing a wealth of information on such a great product line. So much that we could learn from you as a person who made a big switch in her career and been so humble and so grounded about it. I know you are big on a few things, which I will talk about on my next podcast with you for sure.
Okay.
And I know those are game changers, but I'll save it for the next one.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Now, for the best part of this podcast, we call it the fat burner, because we put you in a spot and we expose the biggest of superheroes, because we know there are some dark truths behind every superhero. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. You sure you don't want to have some mushroom drinks before?
I might have a sip of water.
Okay. That is the best medicine. Let's get going. Okay. Coffee or mushroom drink in the morning?
Mushroom drink.
Sure?
Yes.
Okay. Early to bed or late to bed?
Late.
Okay. Honest. Branding talk or fashion week in Paris?
Fashion week in Paris.
Okay. I love the honesty here. Breath work or just dance?
Good question. I love breath work, actually.
Simon's going to be happy.
Yeah.
Okay. Most embarrassing moments lately? I think it's now. You're creating it. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, Vivien. It was a pleasure having you on board.
Thank you.